Lynden, Ontario's lasting mystery, the murder of Audrey Gleave. You're listening to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast. I'm your host, Jay Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations, and today we're diving into one of the most chilling and perplexing unsolved murders in Ontario's history. A case that has haunted investigators in the community for over a decade. A case that, despite numerous leads and suspects, remains shrouded in mystery. In this episode, we're revisiting the brutal murder of Audrey Gleave, a 73-year-old retired science teacher who was found viciously stabbed to death in her own garage. It was December 30th, 2010, when her body was discovered in the quiet rural community of Lynden, near Hamilton, Ontario, a place where such violence seemed unthinkable. Yet the crime scene told a story of rage, calculation, and unanswered questions. Audrey Gleave was a woman of routine. Private, brilliant, and fiercely independent. She lived alone with her 2 German shepherds, her days filled with simple pleasures. Coffee meetups, bridge games, and the occasional email to friends. But behind her quirky personality and love for science, there was a life few truly knew. And on that cold winter day in 2010, someone took it all away in an act of unimaginable violence. What makes this case so baffling? There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing was stolen. Her dog's loyal protectors were locked inside the house, unable to intervene. And while suspects have come and gone, including a homeless man once charged and later cleared, and even the friend who discovered her body, the truth remains elusive. Join us as we unravel the details of Audrey Gleave's life, her final days, and the investigation that has spanned 15 years without resolution. We'll explore the theories, the missteps, and the lingering questions that keep this case alive in the minds of those who seek justice. This is Ontario Cold Cases, and today we're asking, who killed Audrey Gleave? Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast. It's a gripping true crime podcast uncovering unsolved murders, disappearances, and forgotten crimes from Ontario and beyond. Told with deep research, compelling storytelling, and a voice for the victims. Join us today, where every clue could lead to answers, and every case deserves a second look. Victim profile. To understand the tragedy of Audrey Gleave's death, we first need to know who she was. A woman whose life was as unique as it was private. Born Aut Wilma Dovka, Audrey was 73 years old when she was taken from this world. She lived alone in a quiet rural pocket of Lynden near Hamilton, Ontario, a 3401 Indian Trail. Her companions, 2 loyal German shepherds, Schatz and Toji, who were more than pets, they were family. Audrey was a woman of contrast. Brilliant with a master's degree in nuclear physics from McMaster University, she spent decades shaping young minds as a science teacher at Hill Park Secondary School and Westdale Secondary School. She retired in 2006. Her love for science never faded. In fact, her email nickname was Baryon, a nod to the subatomic particle. Proof that her passion for the universe's mysteries stayed with her long after she left the classroom. But Audrey wasn't just a scientist. She was quirky with a sharp wit and a head of striking red hair that matched her vibrant personality. Friends described her as idiosyncratic, someone who marched to the beat of her own drum. She loved the strategic challenge of bridge, where she was known as an ace player, and she found joy in the simple routine of weekly coffee meetups at Williams Fresh Cafe on Main Street West. At home, she'd unwind with episodes of The Big Bang Theory, a show that likely resonated with her own scientific mind. Audrey's life was quiet, but it was rich in the things that mattered to her. She left behind an estate valued at $475,622, entrusted to her beneficiary, Lynn Vanstone. and in a final touching gesture, her ashes were buried alongside her previous dogs, Taggy and Alex, at Ancaster Pet Cemetery, testament to the deep bond she shared with her furry companions. This was Audrey Gleave, a brilliant, private, and beloved figure in her small community. A woman whose life was filled with intellect, humor, and routine. But on December 30th, 2010, that life was brutally cut short, leaving behind a mystery that has haunted Ontario for over a decade. Circumstances of the murder. It was a quiet winter day in rural Ontario, December 27, 2010. Audrey Gleave, a retired teacher living alone in Indian Trail in Lynden, sat down to send an email to her friend and handyman, Phil Kinsman. She wasn't feeling well, she wrote, but she still planned to make it to her regular coffee meetup at Williams Fresh Cafe. It was a simple message, the last thread connecting Audrey to the world. After that, she vanished into silence. 3 days later, on December 30th, 2010, at 10:46 a.m., Phil Kinsman, just 22 years old at the time, pulled up to Audrey's secluded home. Concerned by her silence, he went looking for her. When he found the garage, it would change everything. Audrey's body lay lifeless on the concrete, the victim of a brutal attack. Hamilton police called it horrendous, vicious, and savage. She'd been stabbed multiple times, the violence so intense it seemed to echo through the stillness of the countryside. The details only deepened the mystery. Audrey's 2 German shepherds, fiercely loyal by nature, were found confined inside the house, unable to protect her. Had they been locked away before the attack? And then there was the state of the crime scene. No signs of forced entry, no broken locks or shattered glass. Nothing was taken, not a single item missing. This wasn't a random break-in. It felt personal, as if the killer knew Audrey's home, her habits, her life. In the early hours of the investigation, rumors swirled. Initial reports suggested a sexual component to the crime, but as police dug deeper, they ruled out sexual assault. Instead, they began to suspect the scene might have been staged, calculated move to mislead them. The stab wounds, the undisturbed house, the confined dogs, it all pointed to a killer who was both ruthless and deliberate. Audrey Gleave's murder wasn't just a tragedy, it was a puzzle. Someone who walked into her world, taken her life with shocking brutality, and left behind just enough to keep us guessing. Who could have done this? And why? Initial investigation and suspects. When Audrey Gleave was found murdered in a Lynden home on December 30, 2010, the Hamilton Police Service sprang into action. Yellow tape went up around 3401 Indian Trail. Officers combed the snowy property, and a rural community accustomed to calm was suddenly on edge. The crime was vicious, the details unsettling, and yet, the investigation quickly hit a wall. There was no obvious motive. From day one, detectives classified this as a targeted attack. No signs of forced entry, nothing stolen, just a retired teacher, living alone, taken out in a way that felt personal. But who would target Audrey? She wasn't caught up in drama or danger. She kept to herself, her life predictable and quiet. That lack of a why made the who even harder to pin down. Early on, a lead emerged. A 50-year-old homeless man named David Laurie Scott had been seen around Lynden near the time of the murder. He'd been crashing in a nearby barn, and on February 10, 2011, police arrested him, charging him with first-degree murder. It felt like a break in the case, a possible answer to the chaos. Scott's background didn't help his cause. He had schizophrenia, a record of assault, even cruelty to animals. To some, He looked like the kind of guy who could snap. But looks aren't evidence. As investigators dug in, they found nothing solid. No DNA, no fingerprints, no forensic thread tying him to Audrey's garage, where her body was discovered. On June 3, 2011, the Crown Attorney dropped the charges, stating there was no reasonable prospect of conviction. Scott walked away, and the police were left empty-handed. With Scott off the table, eyes turned to someone else, Phil Kinsman, the 22-year-old handyman who'd found Audrey's body. Phil wasn't a stranger. He'd been doing odd jobs for her, dropping by regularly to help out. That familiarity made him a person of interest, and police didn't hold back. They grilled him, brought in a polygraph, which came back inconclusive, and even asked for shoe imprints while questioning his family about his whereabouts. For years, Phil lived with whispers and suspicion trailing him. But in 2024, CHCH News reported a shift. Police officially ruled him out as a suspect. The focus pivoted again, back to other leads, including once more a homeless man spotted in the area where Audrey was killed. Same profile, different questions, and still no answers. 2 suspects down. The trail was growing colder by the day. Audrey Gleave's murder wasn't just a mystery. It was a puzzle with pieces that refused to fit. But the Hamilton police weren't ready to give up. Community and media response. In the small, tight-knit community of Lynden, Ontario, life moves at a slower pace. Neighbors know each other, and violent crime feels like something that happened somewhere else. But on December 30th, 2010, that sense of safety was shattered. Audrey Gleave's brutal murder sent shockwaves through this rural corner of Hamilton, leaving residents grappling with grief, fear, and unanswered questions. The news hit hard. Local papers like the Hamilton Spectator splashed the story across their pages, detailing the savagery of the attack and the eerie mystery of its unresolved nature. Television coverage followed, with outlets like CHCH painting a picture of a woman whose quiet life had been violently upended. The brutality of it all, a retired teacher alone in her garage, stabbed to death, felt like a violation of Lynden's unspoken peace. The community didn't stay silent. On January 5, 2011, mourners gathered in nearby Brantford for a candlelight vigil, their flickering lights a quiet tribute to Audrey's memory. Other memorials followed, each one a reminder of the woman who'd left her mark. Locals remembered her as more than a victim. She was a quirky, brilliant teacher with a fiery red hair, the one who roared through town in her brash white Camaro, the one who'd always had a sharp quip or warm smile for those she trusted. Even today, Audrey's name carries weight in Lynden. It's a solemn topic spoken about in hushed tones at coffee shops or community halls. Her story lingers, not just because of the tragedy, but because of who she was. A dedicated educator, a lover of silence, a woman who lived life on her own terms. As the case stretched on without answers, the public's fascination grew. Social media became a hub for amateur sleuths, with forums and posts dissecting every detail of the crime. Hamilton police kept a close eye on these discussions, sifting through tips that poured in. Some were helpful, sparking new leads, but most were dead ends. Wild theories or speculation that led nowhere. One anonymous letter sent to a Hamilton Spectator reporter promised a breakthrough but fizzled out. Just another false hope in a case full of them. The media and the community kept Audrey's story alive, but the lack of closure weighed heavy. Lynden wanted justice. They wanted to know who could do this to one of their own, and why. But as the months turned to years, the answers remained just out of reach. Investigation updates and current status. It's been over 14 years since Audrey Gleave was found murdered in a Lynden garage. And yet the case file labeled Gleave, Audrey, 10/12/30, remains open on the desks of Hamilton Police detectives. As of June 2025, this is not a cold case. It's an active investigation, one that refuses to let go of those who've worked it, or the community still hoping for answers. Detectives like Angela Abrams and Joe Stewart have been the heart of this case, tirelessly chasing leads that come through official channels and anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers. They've sifted through countless theories, from the plausible to the far-fetched, trying to piece together what happened in those fateful days between December 27th and December 30th, 2010. But the absence of family to push for resources has made this fight for justice feel at times like a lonely one. Still, the detectives remain steadfast. With one telling the Hamilton Spectator, "We keep pushing for her." Recent reports from 2024 show that police haven't given up. They've followed new leads, including revisiting the possibility of a homeless man seen in the Lynden area at the time of the murder. A thread that surfaced before, but never fully unraveled. There's also been chatter about 3 other attacks on women in the region over the past 4 months, though police haven't confirmed any connection to Audrey's case. The timelines and details suggest these are likely separate incidents, but a reminder of the urgency to solve cases like this one. Hamilton Police continue to appeal to the public, urging anyone with even the smallest piece of information to come forward. You can reach Staff Sergeant Dave Olienak at the Major Crime Unit at 905-546-3829, or Detective Sergeant Joe Stewart, 905-546-2458. Anonymous tips can be shared through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Every call, every tip could be the key to unlocking this mystery. Audrey Gleave's case is a testament to the persistence of those who refuse to let her story fade. It's a case that's still alive, still active, still waiting for that one clue to bring justice to a woman whose life was taken so brutally. But what will it take to finally solve it? As we close out this episode of Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast, the story of Audrey Gleave lingers like a shadow over Lynden, Ontario. A brilliant woman, a retired teacher, a lover of science and solitude, taken from her quiet life in a way that still defies explanation. For over 14 years, investigators in the grieving community have chased answers. But the question remains, who killed Audrey Gleave? Her case is not just a file on the detective's desk. It's called action. Someone out there knows something. A fleeting memory, a detail overlooked, a conversation half forgotten. It could be the piece that finally brings justice. If you have any information, no matter how small, please contact the Hamilton Police Service. Reach Staff Sergeant Dave Olienak at the Major Crime Unit at 905-546-3829 or Detective Sergeant Joe Stewart at 905-546-2458. You can also share anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Let's help bring closure to this haunting mystery. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jay Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations as we explored Lynden, Ontario's lasting mystery, the murder of Audrey Gleave. If this story moved you, or if you're as gripped by the pursuit of truth as we are, please subscribe to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite platform. Don't miss our next episode, where we'll uncover another untold story from Ontario's shadows. Until then, keep asking questions, keep seeking justice, keep Audrey Gleave's name alive. For Nicoll Investigations and Ontario Cold Cases, I'm Jay Nicoll. Stay safe. We'll see you soon next time. Because every case deserves answers, and every victim deserves justice.